This is Andrew for CollectionDX, and before I get started, I just want to thank Hasbro for providing this sample of Combiner Wars Breakneck, and to direct you down to the video description for a list of upcoming Transformers May Mayhem events. Anyway, on with the review. So this is Combiner Wars Breakneck, who is the final member of the Combiner Wars Stunticons. And interestingly enough, his bio describes him as a real Wildrider, because this is just Wildrider. They couldn't call him Wildrider because of trademark issues, but hey, in Japan, in the Unite Warriors version, he's still going to be Wildrider. Anyways, so Breakneck, Wildrider, whatever you want to call him, he is basically a repaint and slight remold of Combiner Wars Dead End, which, it's... Dead End was a pretty good figure, somewhat marred by quality control issues, and I gotta say, comparing the two, I actually like Breakneck a lot better. You know, his colors just pop a bit more. His joints are certainly just kind of a lot tighter than Dead End's were, although he still had some issues with the way his legs fit together, and I had to like shave some stuff off just to make sure everything closed up right. It's making me a little wary because it seems like all the quality control issues with Combiner Wars seem to be just this mold, and I'm somewhat worried about Streetwise, but I think he's got enough new parts so maybe he'll be a bit tighter. But other than that, good figure, you know? Yeah, he's a pretty wide range of articulation. I don't want to really repeat myself too much if you've already seen my Dead End video. Nice, fun to mess with. Good, sturdy figure. And again, other weird thing is that he shares with Dead End is that this thing doesn't really plug in tightly. It does plug in a bit better up here on the shoulder things, but that's because they're now covered in paint due to the way his deco is different than Dead End's. And he also comes with the whacking pipe, and I like the whacking pipes. They're pretty cool. One neat thing is that if you have both Dead End and Breakneck, you can actually like get two of these things in there. And now he's got silly exhaust pipes on his arms, or you could give him like double whacking sticks, all that kind of fun stuff. And I just want to look a little bit at his head for a bit here. Zoom that in. So yeah, the head sculpt on this guy is it's pretty great. I mean, again, with a lot of these Combiner Wars figures, they're going back to the cartoon for the heads designs, and this is really on model for his weird non-toy-like head design in the cartoon. He looks good and mean. He's got a nice scowl on his face, and it's just a nice big block thing, and he's even got his little antenna sticking out the side there. So yeah, this is another reason why I kind of like Breakneck more than Dead End. He just looks a lot better, even in the head department. So yeah, other than that, he's pretty much Dead End, but in nicer colors. So, and I'm just going to bring out real quick. You saw him a bit before. Here is his quote-unquote replacement, Off-Road, who I actually now have confirmation that he was totally intended to be Ruckus, which makes me really happy. But yeah, anyway, you can see their colors are pretty similar. Pretty much the same gray, pretty much the same red used for parts, all the highlight parts and like the windows and stuff, like the window on the back here. Yeah, they're both pretty good toys, and I think, honestly, I don't mind just having like these two instead of Mr. Dead End here. Yeah, so I'm going to show you off real quick arm mode for this guy. Alright, so I got Motormaster in torso mode, and I got Dead End on there in other arm mode. And so here is Mr. Breakneck, and you can see just one change here. Is a bunch of the gray parts are now black, so even his combiner joint is black, which makes it look kind of cool there. So just take this and pop it in the slot up here, And as you saw, I like to close up the fist and then do that with the wind vane or the windshield, whatever it is. And anyway, so I got Breakneck as an arm, and it looks kind of neat when you actually have Breakneck and Dead End being arms because he's a bit more symmetrical as far as his design goes. And the fact that Breakneck has a better quality control with his joints, he actually feels better as an arm than Dead End here. You can see that's kind of a little loose, but here it's actually like got a nice feel to it. So pretty much the same though. You got the joint up here, and these parts kind of can bang into the ends of Motormaster, so just be careful as you're moving all this around. And you know, he's got the posable hand, and you can pop the sword in there. You kind of know what's going on with this figure already. Anyway, so I'm going to take a quick look at leg mode, which is pretty much where Breakneck or Wildrider is supposed to go as per the G1 lore. Alright, here's Menasor with Breakneck serving as a leg, and you can see it's definitely a little bit more G1-y. I know some people like to actually do this thing I showed you earlier where you just rotate the leg guys around using the combiner joint. And this is technically a bit more like G1-y because they actually had their chests facing forward in the old cartoon model. Although, again, you don't get any of that articulation unless you want his knees to bend forward like that. But he's pretty good, you know. He does everything that he needs to do as a leg. And, you know, he looks good down there. He feels solid. He's, again, better than Dead End quality-wise. So I actually feel okay leaving him as a leg and bearing the weight of the entire combiner. The only thing is that he does have the same little issue with that Dead End has, is that these edges here can kind of hit Motormaster's own feet. So just be careful with that as you're posing this. It does sort of like get into the gap underneath the feet, so it's not too bad. It's just that you probably don't want to do that too much because this is all paint in here, and you probably just don't want paint scraping if you're really concerned about paint scraping on a $15 toy. But other than that, you know, it's nice to actually have them all together again, as we saw them in the old cartoon. So I'm going to finish this off by just looking at Breakneck in vehicle mode. Alright, so here is Breakneck or Wildrider in car mode, and as you can see, he's the same kind of car as Dead End, which I looked it up. This is actually based on a Ferrari, so I'm thinking with like the overall looks of these toys and the fact that the original G1 Wildrider was a Ferrari, I think this was always meant to be a Wildrider figure, and they just decided to also use it as Dead End. And not that I'm really complaining, because they were pretty similar looking characters other than their heads in the cartoon, so it's fine. And they're both fun figures, although, as I said, I like Breakneck here better just because he's got a little bit better quality, and honestly his colors just pop a lot more. Also, in the interim, I found out that this is actually unpainted plastic. Unpaintable plastic, I should say. So that's why there's still this little tiny gap there in the way the side stripes work. It's like this should be gray and this should be maroon up here. But anyway, it's not too bad looking. And the Unite Warriors version just basically swaps these around so that he's more like all gray, and then Dead End is like all maroon. Other than that, you can totally pop Breakneck's accessories on him in car mode, and I don't know, he just looks pretty good. I mean, he's pretty much the same figure. I just like having him in just a nicer build quality. And just quickly, here he is next to his, again, supposed replacement, Off-Road, who was really just Ruckus. So, You can kind of see what they were going for here. And I like having both, so it just feels like, oh, it's just a win-win situation. One thing that is kind of interesting, though, is that if you do decide to go with Breakneck instead of Off-Road, Breakneck is a kind of a thicker vehicle than Off-Road is here, so he's going to make Menasor look a bit more balanced, and sometimes in certain modes from certain angles, Off-Road is kind of just a little bit smaller, not like too much, but you can certainly notice it because he's just a little boxy truck there. But anyways. Also, one funny thing that I noticed is, so they didn't have to change a lot of the instructions and diagrams. These guys are both 2 of 5 Menasor on all their paperwork. And they even actually show on the diagram Breakneck being an arm instead of dead end. So it's just like, oh, but they still have Off-Road in there. Anyways. So in conclusion, he's just another Combiner Wars figure. Nice, solid, playable toy. Thanks to Hasbro for letting us take a look at this. I'm certainly happy to get one. And as far as availability goes, he's going to be on a bunch of online retailers, including Amazon, Walmart, Hasbro's own toy shop, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, just any place that's been carrying Transformers. He's not going to be in physical stores, but he's going to just be an online exclusive. But anyway, and again, please check out all of the Transformers May Mayhem stuff that's going out in the description. And this has been Andrew from CollectionDX.com, checking out Combiner Wars stuff. And of course, there's going to be a whole lot more of it.